We talk about the virtual economy, this migration of younger people in particular towards digital economies because traditional economies failed them, where everybody's focusing their attention. This emerging infrastructure of digital asset ownership focused primarily around NFTs.
There's definitely an economy shaping around these different platforms. People are making lots of money.
This is all about giving us freedom to have control over our own finances, over our own art sales.
Every human being has a desire to create and be purposeful in their world. And they should have the capability to pursue that freely and, in a meritocracy. That core value is why we build a piece of architecture in the metaverse and we fill it with artwork.
The economy is growing. Different kind of people, different kind of businesses, dance classes. There are people who build games, gallery owners, many expensive galleries with expensive, NFTs.
In a virtual gallery, you can invite people from all around the world.
I see a future metaverse economy where there won't be a distinction between the metaverse and the metaverse. There will be a blurring of the two.
Goldman and Morgan Stanley have put the market size of the metaverse up as high as $8 trillion. You can think about how much of our daily lives are being consumed already online. That value transfers to the metaverse. I think it could be very large.
So people are definitely making money in the metaverse economy today in quite a few different ways. So first of all, you have the Web 2 metaverse platforms like Second Life.
Second Life is a social virtual world. So people go in there to engage with other people and build things. Zuby essentially makes virtual goods for Second Life, selling pets and babies. We create caregiving experiences and other kinds of experiences with virtual goods. They're immersive. You can take these virtual assets with you all over Second Life. You can feed them. You can share them with your partner. It's basically been a really nice small business. We've supported a family. We have 2 homes. So Second Life is centralized. It is not a decentralized system. Linden Labs owns the business. I am a content creator for this company. Overall, they take about 10%. So if you make $10,000, Second Life takes $1,000.
Meta, which is really the biggest Web 2 player that's entering the metaverse economy, the talk is that they are going to be taking around 50% of transaction fees from things that are created within their metaverse. That's a big cut, and it's a very big difference between what you are seeing today within the Web 3 metaverse economies, where a lot more of that value goes to the creators. NFTs represent a lot of different things within the metaverse. Beyond digital art, you're seeing NFTs that represent the digital land within these metaverses, the collectible items that exist.
This avatar is an NFT. Now, avatar creators, is the big business in Somnium already. Last year was the first year when we allowed people to upload and tokenize avatars through Somnium Space directly on Ethereum. And avatar creators earned net more than $500,000 by selling avatars to other users.
If you think about a digital economy, just like you think about the traditional economy, you need marketplaces, you need financial centers, you need the ability to have those people within those economies transact. And what you're seeing with the metaverse is you're seeing marketplaces that have emerged, like OpenSea, for example, is a large marketplace that really caters to a lot of digital NFT items.
OpenSea is anything and everything when it comes to ERC-721 tokens, NFTs. I would argue artwork is like maybe 15% of OpenSea.
I, as a user, can own a digital item in my wallet. And if I want to sell that to someone else, I could list that on a marketplace like OpenSea. Another party could come to Virtual World. They could go and they could say, I want to buy this NFT. They could see it listed, for example. It can go to one of these marketplaces and they could buy it from me there. I think that just like you have real estate developers who will buy land, develop businesses around that property, make it an attractive place for people to come and live and create value. If you look at the metaverse, I think that the same model is going to kind of exist there as well. Simply owning land is not going to be what creates value for it. It's going to be all of these extra activities that exist around it that creates value.
At every realm, we're a metaverse investor, innovator, and developer. We're kind of like a one-stop shop for all things metaverse and looking to shape what the future of the metaverse looks like. And we started as an investment vehicle that gives investors exposure to the metaverse, but our thesis here is that the metaverse is only as exciting as the content inside of it.
We realized if we wanted the metaverse ecosystem to start taking shape, to start maturing and becoming a viable asset class, we actually had to not just buy and hold, but we had to buy and build. And that's what we've been doing. One of the first things we built was a shopping mall called Metajuku in Decentraland. Through something the vast majority of people can relate to, a shopping mall, we demonstrated the entire e-commerce possibilities for the metaverse. We put up a mall, we leased out the spaces to tenants. They were tenants selling digital clothing. So again, something that's fairly easy to understand. If you have an avatar, you'd rather it not be naked, so you go buy clothing for it in a shopping mall that we own and we were the landlord for. And we've since realized that when we do things like that, we can create outsized returns for our investors, but we also create content that's bringing users to the platforms.
Brands recognize that the metaverse is like another interface or frontier, much like the web and then mobile. Now we have the metaverse. It's not a question of should they have a metaverse strategy. It's seen as an absolute hygiene factor, a must-have. Boson Protocol is the universal settlement layer for commerce built on Web3 technology. So that means that it sits between buyer and seller in much the same way as Amazon or Alibaba and enables commerce transactions. We've built an application called Boson Portal, which is a metaverse marketplace. And this marketplace enables brands like Tommy Hilfiger, Hogan, and a whole host of Web3 brands to sell physical and digital products, or as we call them, phygital products, as NFTs in the metaverse. So we were one of the key strategic partners in Metaverse Fashion Week within Decentraland. We created a whole street of stores and enabled brands to sell these fizzy digital items as NFTs. And so if you imagine, selling a high-end pair of sneakers or handbag, you can sell it as both a digital NFT and a physical NFT, and both can be traded and transferred just like any other NFT.
In my view, the first articulation of the functional effect of metaverse is not going to be virtual, it's going to be digiphysical. Virtual landscapes that are layered over the physical infrastructure around us. When you walk outside and you're wearing your contact lenses or your glassware, whatever it happens to be, you're able to see a filtered world of engaging, immersive virtual environments. So that could be anything from new landscaping, could be effective promotions for new movies or TVs. You walk outside and there's a dragon flying over you.
Wax was the very first blockchain built specifically for NFTs. We were the first in the world to do the linking of a physical consumer product to an NFT. We did that in 2018. We sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tokenized sneakers, tokenized jackets, collectible physical cards. We're doing it now with Hasbro, with figurines. We're doing it with Mattel, with their Hot Wheels cars. I think more and more consumer product companies are recognizing the fact that a lot of people who buy their products are not the intended end user. They are simply buying them to trade them. You certainly see that in things like comic books and sneakers. Supreme has made a whole business out of that with its fashion wear. A lot of the people who buy Supreme merchandise during the Supreme drops ultimately just immediately relist them. And so that'll be a bigger part of how e-commerce evolves on the blockchain.
In the sandbox, I know Adidas bought a large parcel, Atari, Warner Music Group, Ubisoft. I think they actually will create great experiences, high quality gaming and music experiences. Some of these brands coming in really actually legitimizes the space right now and brings in more of a mainstream audience.
There's a lot of celebrities that are getting to the metaverse as well. Snoop Dogg, Blondish, Paris Hilton.
Whether it's creating a communal space for their fans to gather in, or selling avatars and wearables to allow their fans to cosplay as them or represent their brand while they're walking around in these spaces. One example recently was Snoop Dogg. He created an avatar line for the Sandbox Metaverse, and so you're gonna see thousands of Snoop Doggs walking around every day in that Metaverse, and it's a really cool way for him to be a part of the space and fans to also be connected with him.
A lot of architects building for other users. So if the users are coming, they have an idea, but they don't know how to build or they don't have time, people are charging thousands of dollars for builds on their parcels.
It pretty much always starts as a DM of someone messaging me on Twitter or through my website and says, hey, I have this project in mind, can you help me build it? Or I have this parcel of land and I'd like to show off this collection. The people that come through those outlets are typically digital art collectors, NFT collectors. I'll charge anywhere between a couple ETH for a project to several Ether for a project. It really depends on the scale of project that someone would like to do and the scale of the plot of land that they have and in what world they'd like to build it.
Spaces DAO is a collective of architects, designers, and game developers. We're focused on the decentralized metaverse. We've been collaborating and working on platforms such as the Sandbox, Decentraland, Somnium, and CryptoVoxels. We also do some projects on Spatial.io and Frame VR. We've done art galleries. We've done social hubs. One of our recent designs that we uploaded was an art gallery for Boss Beauty's collection for International Women's Day, honoring the Role Models collection, which was a beautiful project that I hold close to my heart as well, because I'm all for empowering women in the space.
I do get people who reach out and ask and say, here's my mansion, I'd like to plop it in the metaverse. But I try to steer away from that and steer clients away from that and think about what can we create here that can't exist in the real world and why. I try to make the process part of the product too, where it's about exploring what are the limits and the thresholds of each virtual world, what are the constraints, and design to them. And ultimately, I think that's better for the art that they want on display or the meeting or the event or the kind of scene that they want to create.
The process of doing a specific commission design is actually quite longer, and that is not going to help fill the metaverse. So what we want to do with our community is to create an NFT collection, your home for the metaverse, you can have your office for the metaverse, and all of these will be designed by our community and put up as NFTs.
I'm a resident architect at the Museum of Crypto Art, and with them we develop all sorts of kind of visual experiences for different art collections.
What is the Museum of Crypto Art?
It's hard to box like anything in this space, but easiest mental model would be that it is a virtual reality museum in which we showcase the earliest artworks of the NFT revolution. The museum was born in Somnium Space in April of 2020. We also exist in Decentraland. We exist in Arium with different exhibitions and artist solo shows.
We have a social and governance token, majority reserved for the artists that want to work with the museum. Therefore, we aren't burdened by both physical bank structures and legal fees to decide what the power structures are between people. Instead, you can choose your power in the organization by buying what you would like out of it. We have a app.museumofcryptoart.com, which is a decentralized Web3 application using our token. People can receive rewards for being a part of the museum, whether that's as an art collective, whether that's as an individual.
Colborn messaged me on Twitter and he let me know that they had created this space for me, Insomnium Space, with my art collection that they had bought from Super Rare. It's this just absolutely gorgeous nature space. It just feels really magical. I love seeing my art in the metaverse. And what I think is really incredible is that these virtual spaces allow people to create environments that couldn't exist in the real world. And it's like you're getting to experience the mind of the artist themselves.
Core to the mission for me is just to kind of reawaken people's imagination to what is art and who decides, to preserve kind of the rebellious early spirit of this movement and the artists, to protect and honor creators that stood for a novel new paradigm, one that gave them 10% royalties on secondary sales. It empowered them to create more sovereignly, and it allowed, given Ethereum's nature as an open access network, really the ability for anybody in the world with internet access to begin to kind of upload and preserve their creativity to the blockchain.
My name is Laya Matikshara. I am a 14-year-old artist from South India. Most of my artworks represent spectrums of art and tech. Some of my very common art mediums that I use to represent this would be 3D animation, generative art. When I started, it was just a fun thing or a hobby that I did when I was 9, 10. But then eventually with time, the love for art just increased more and more. So one Sunday, I just felt, let's try out what this NFT is. Let's just see what it is. Let's give it a shot. Tried and minted some of my pieces that day as NFTs, and that slowly was collected by an artist, and that kind of introduced to me the space, and voila, it kind of brought me up to a place where I kind of paved a path for myself. I've made around 100 pieces as far as now. Overall, I have made around a $1 million sale.
I have been able to pretty much make a living out of this, yeah. It's not 100% on art. I have a bunch of little jobs that I kind of do, all based around crypto and stuff on the internet.
The market value of crypto art could be somewhere between 10 to 20 billion in total market value. People who own some of these very early art collections, art pieces from this era, I think are gonna look back in 50, 100 years, and people will look at this like owning art from after the French Revolution, for example, or in the early days of the founding of America. I think you're gonna see that cultural significance emerge, and I think that's gonna be one piece that ties value back to crypto art many years down the road.
There are so many places, instances where the effects of this artwork and this value transfer are felt much more deeply, and that is going to be in developing nations and developing economies and artwork and creative expression that exists generally outside of the Western canon. There are incredible artists in Argentina, and Argentina historically has a government that has failed them. They have double-digit inflation. It's very difficult to find jobs. And some of the most creative, talented, brilliant people have had to fight and struggle to develop a skill set that benefits them on a global playing field.
In my view, it is the failure of the post-2008 traditional economy to facilitate upward social mobility for younger people that is driving people towards these new economies, because it's the only place that hope exists. At the moment, we have in the Western world, in developed capitalist democratic societies, created an environment where employees are losers. Not only are you not going to be wealthy, you're not going to be middle class to the extent that you will have some level of financial stability and security into your retirement. The likelihood that you'll own a home is reducing all the time. The amount of debt that you will need to take on in order to service that asset as well is increasing all the time. The potential yield that you can access from assets is also reducing. People looking at NFTs right now and thinking that, oh, this is nonsense. These collectibles, this art, whatever it is substandard, and we've no interest in it. That's besides the point. NFTs are important because they provide an opportunity for digital ownership in increasingly digital marketplaces.
I saw people pursuing their passion, doing it while earning a living they never expected to make at the age of 14 to 65. Those are the different ages I've encountered in crypto art. It is one of the greatest hopes for my generation and the generation below me to reverse the course of a lot of a political and economic system that has failed them.